Today I'm going to quickly explain a very complicated feature that we are releasing in kind of a pre-release beta. That feature is filters for dynamic CMS. If you haven't watched the search for dynamic CMS video, you're going to probably want to do that first because that kind of shows you how this all works, and it really is a little longer, goes through the guts of this thing. Filters is an addition to that, so you're definitely going to need to understand that search video. I will put the link to that wherever this video lives. But let's dive in. I want to just warn you, though, before we do, that this is complicated, and like the search feature, we are doing this in a couple of stages. The first stage is kind of to release the back-end guts of how this thing works, and there's a way that you can use the feature, getting clever with URLs and forms and stuff like that. In the future, we're going to make this drag and drop simple, so you can just drag a filter or a search bar onto the page and set a couple of settings and it'll be done, just like we always do. But some of you are really anxious to get your hands on this. Some of you are kind of geeky and love to get into the weeds. And so if that's you, let's do this. If it's not you, turn this video off now because this is pretty weird. But here we go. I'm going to show you how this thing works. I'm going to get me down there. Starting at the top. Here it is. I'm going to mostly do this in slides. So, filters for dynamic CMS. What we're going to do here is we're going to talk about it, what this is, how it works, set it up, and what's coming. So first of all, just like search, the results of your search are displayed in a dynamic block. Go back to the search video and watch how that is done. Just like search, the criteria are set up in URL variables. Again, for now. Later on, it's going to be really simple. You won't have to think about this stuff, but that's what we're doing now. For search, you'll remember, if you watch that video, which you must do, that it looks like this. I used an example of Ontraport University, and then there's this question mark. Search for is the term there, and engineering is the value. The parameter, we call that. Search for is the parameter, and engineering is the value we're searching for. And that will return all fields that are displayed in your dynamic block that match the search term. It'll search in all the fields that are displayed in your dynamic block. Now, if you want to search in a particular field, instead of all the displayed fields, you can just add that there as well. Search for equals department is the field name, colon, engineering, and now it'll search in the department field for the word engineering, and it will return all the records that match that there. Now, what if you wanted to we wanted to search for, in this example, we're doing a job board, right? And we're searching for engineering jobs. But what if you wanted to search for engineering jobs, but only include remote jobs, right? So that requires a filter. So what are filters? Search for, the search returns all the records that match value. Search filter is a new parameter that limits those results based on another field's value. I'll show you what I mean using Amazon as an example. So search for is shirts. If you go to Amazon and search for shirts, you're going to see all the shirts, right? That's search for. And then if you scroll down the side, you'll see all these kind of settings. They're filters, and it's going to say, I only want to see shirts that have collared necks or animal prints or whatever it might be, and you can kind of check those boxes, and it will filter the result for shirts by these other attributes. And so that's kind of what we're going for here. Here's a different example. So that's search filter. Now you'll notice, actually, let me just go back to this. You'll notice that when you select multiple items here, that they're additive. So you're going to see animal print shirts and cartoon print shirts and checkered print shirts here. And that's what search filter does. There's another parameter that we're adding here, which is called search filter all. And so that means results are going to have to match all of the parameters, not just one. And that's kind of what you want here. In this example, I'm searching for, the search term is Alfa Romeo, but over here on the left, I don't want cars that have automatic parking or cruise control or keyless start or navigation. I want cars that have all that if I selected those ones, right? And so that's search filter all, is it's got to match all the values. And so by mixing and matching these parameters, you can basically create any kind of filter setup that you want. So how do you do it? It's just like navigation. So instead of saying search for, you say search filter equals field name, value, right? So location in this case is remote. That's what they're looking for. So engineering jobs where the location is remote, and that's what you're going to end up getting. Now, what if you want to get fancier and say engineering jobs that are remote, but only ones that pay over $100,000? Well, yes, we've done that too. So the way that works is you just continue along. You can, to your search filter, you can add a semicolon and then start again with a different field. Salary in this case. Now you see this is greater than. That's an operator that you can use for numbers and prices. And there's a bunch of other operators too. You can do, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, a bunch of different things like that, right? You can set these up any way you want. There's also a bunch of operators for dates. You can look at how those all work in the documentation. I'm not going to get into it right now, but if you wanted to say the start date is after May, you can do that too using the operators that we've set up for you. So salary is greater than $100,000, and you're going to get exactly what you want. Filtering that page. Now, you can keep going with this, of course. So, a few notes. Oh, here, I'm going to just show you kind of, so watch the video about how search works and how to create a form that makes this work. So I just kind of threw together an example here. This is search for jobs. I made it fancy. I'll show you kind of how this works. Where's the page, actually? I made it fancy by putting the form in a sidebar. I created a form in Ontraport so that I could drop the code into the navigation sidebar. This is my dynamic block of results, and it's all my jobs here. And of course, if I type in CTO and I search, it will show me just CTO stuff, and I can do the same thing with the rest of these fields. So I could type CTO and department equals engineering, and experience is lead, and minimum salary is $100,000. And then I'd click submit, and it would create that URL just like we did in search, and show me these results. Once again, this is complicated for now, but it's going to get easier. We're going to allow you to just drag and drop these onto a page, and it's going to get simple down the road. But I know some of you are anxious, so we're doing this today. Now, onward. Next, there are a bunch of operators, as I said, for dates and numerics. See the documentation. There will be, we'll list out all the operators you can use for those suckers, because that'll be valuable. For example, in situations like this, you might want to say, minimum year and maximum year for your car, or minimum price and maximum price for your houses that you might be searching for, or whatever it might be. So you can do all that using those operators. Next, checkboxes, just be aware, they're a little funny. The reason they're funny is that if you put a checkbox field on the form and you submit it unchecked, well, that's only going to return results that where the field is unchecked, if you kind of set it up the way you expect. And then if you check it, it'll only show the results where the box is checked. But sometimes you don't care. You want to see all the results. You just want to see engineers. In my case, I think it was like degree required was a checkbox. In fact, I'll show you. Degree required is in the database, it's a checkbox. But for the purposes of the search, I used a drop down, and no and yes can be merged into that. You can search the checkbox and use no and yes, because that's actually how checkboxes work in the database. So you can merge those into the URL, and it'll work. And then if you don't select it, then you'll see all the records. So just be aware that that's probably how you should deal with checkboxes. You can leave them as checkboxes in the database, but on the form that you're creating to search, you'd probably want to do that in a drop down, or you're going to only get one of your options ever. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to mention. Next, you can also sort. We've added other parameters here. They are sort by field and field name. So in this case, sort by price, and sort order is ascending or descending. So the way you do this is by using conditional redirects in your URL. So you'd say if sort is equal to, let me just show you again the thing I've got here, sort by, let me move my face, there we go. Sort by, I did it different here, but salary, lowest first, salary highest first, whatever it might be, start date, latest first, whatever you wanted there. What you would do is you would create conditional redirects. So if sort by is equal to start date first, then you would add this to the end of your big fancy URL. Sort by equals start date and sort order equals ascending. On the other hand, if sort by is equal to highest paying first, you'd say sort by minimum salary and sort order equals ascending. Actually, that should be descending because highest first would be descending. So that's another possibility for you. Pretty cool. And yes, one last time, don't worry. This is a pre-release beta product. It'll get easier. But if you are, if you've already figured out search and you've been waiting for filters, you're welcome. Thanks for watching.